There are moments in history when something begins quietly, almost without intention, yet grows into a force vast enough to shape the rhythm of the human story. Among such currents, one rises with a gentleness that belies its influence. The emergence of a language that would travel further than any vessel, settle more deeply than any empire, and thread itself into the breath and imagination of nations across the earth. A language born on a modest, rain-touched island in the North Atlantic, shaped by centuries of encounter, exchange, conflict, and transformation. A language that became a bridge where none existed, a home for ideas, and a vessel for the collective voice of humanity. The story of English is the story of mingling, of tides bringing diverse peoples to the same shore, of Angles and Saxons forming its early bones, of Norse winds sharpening its edges, of Norman French lending its courtly grace. Over centuries, these influences did not merely collide, they dissolved into one another, producing a tongue both simple in structure and infinite in possibility. Out of complexity came clarity, out of clarity came beauty, and out of beauty came a language that welcomed everything it encountered. As this island altered, so did the sound of its speech. It shifted with the rise of kingdoms, the demands of trade, the movement of ideas, and the quiet persistence of ordinary folk who shaped language without knowing they were doing so. Each century added new tone and cadence, turning English into something fluid rather than fixed, living rather than preserved. And because nothing within it was rigidly forbidden, everything was eventually invited. This openness is what carried English beyond its birthplace, at first through exploration, then commerce, then empire, yet always through something deeper, the willingness of nations to reshape English into forms that reflected their own identities, cultures, and dreams. The language that spread outward did not remain anchored to its origins. It expanded by listening, by absorbing, by allowing itself to be transformed. It grew through the act of sharing. Across continents, English became a common meeting place. A space where thoughts could travel freely, where discoveries could be exchanged, and where stories from distant lands could find a single stage. Over time, it became a language of science, diplomacy, navigation, literature, theater, global trade, and, eventually, the digital age. From the quiet script of medieval monks, to the vast current of modern media, English adapted to every era, without losing its essence. At the center of this unfolding was an island whose history continually nurtured the conditions for linguistic generosity. Britain's tradition of scholarship preserved ancient texts, its legal and parliamentary systems refined precision of expression, its poets and playwrights expanded imagination. Its explorers carried the language abroad, its universities invited the world to learn, its printing presses shaped spelling and grammar. Its inventors, scientists, and thinkers coined new words for new truths. Its storytellers, ancient and modern, embedded narrative into the global bloodstream. The English language advanced not primarily by force, but by resonance. It offered a sense of belonging without demanding surrender. It enabled nations to remain fully themselves, while sharing a thread that connected them to others. In English, a voice from one corner of the world could reach another, without either being asked to abandon their heritage. In that sense, English became a kind of global commons, open, adaptable, wide as the sky. Yet perhaps its deepest beauty lies in its ability to hold contrasts. It may be formal, dignified, and exacting, yet equally soft, playful, and intimate. It shelters the poetic and the practical, the mystical and the analytical. It can carry the weight of Shakespeare and the lightness of everyday speech, the intricacy of scientific terminology, and the simplicity of human emotion. English is not merely a tool for communication, it is a vessel for feeling, thought, memory, and hope. Every word carries an echo. Echoes of ancient migrations, literary revolutions, philosophical debates, and quiet evenings where language evolved in the mouths of ordinary people. Every phrase bears the imprint of centuries. Every sentence is the confluence of countless past voices. This is the quiet gift Britain offered the world. Not simply a language, but a linguistic home, something capable of evolving, of inviting, of belonging. A language that could be adapted endlessly while remaining recognizably whole. A language that discovered harmony and difference, long before the world attempted to do the same. And as the modern world moves forward, English continues to grow. New expressions rise from music, from technology, from young communities, from the shared experiences of a connected planet. The dictionary expands each year. The spoken word shifts with every generation. English lives because humanity continues to breathe new stories into it. Across continents, it holds conversations between strangers who may never meet. It carries scientific breakthroughs that propel civilization. It sends comfort across oceans. It builds bridges, shapes agreements, settles disputes, and sets the rhythm of global dialogue. In classrooms, cafes, airports, universities, films, books, and online spaces, English has become one of the great quiet forces binding humanity together. Yet at its heart stands a small island of green fields, ancient cathedrals, coastal cliffs and weathered towns. A place where the first threads of this vast linguistic tapestry were woven. A place whose history shaped not only its own identity, but the manner in which the world expresses its thoughts. A place where words emerged from the soil and sea, from the meeting of cultures, and were carried outward across the centuries. The English language is not solely a British achievement. It is a British beginning, transformed, expanded, and enriched by the world. Yet without its birthplace, without its particular history, without its centuries of openness, curiosity, and cultural blending, the language that now unites nations might never have appeared. As the world continues to change, English stands as a reminder that influence may be gentle, that power may be creative, that connection can reach further than conquest, and that sometimes the most enduring gifts are quiet ones, the words that allow humanity to understand itself. Words are quiet things, yet through them, worlds unfold. From a small island came a language that now rests on the tongue of the planet. A language that carries stories, inventions, dreams, discoveries, and hopes. A language that belongs to everyone, and began in a beautiful land.